Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Here to talk to you today about the latest from Workday Update 19. I'd like to call your attention to the hashtag we have. We've done this presentation for the analyst community, and some of them have tweeted their remarks on what they've seen. If you're interested in that, you can follow WDAY out on Twitter to see what others are saying about the update we're about to take you through. Start off with a safe harbor statement. This update is about software rolling out, so most of our focus will be on what we're actually shipping, but in the event we make any forward-looking statements, wanted to have this slide to show you that we're not going to be held responsible for the accuracy of those statements. I'm joined today by several of my colleagues to bring you Workday 19. I'm here with Raphael Bress, who heads up product strategy for Workday Financials, and Amy Wilson, who heads up product strategy for Human Capital Management. We're also joined by Russell and Christina, who will be here delivering what I think is always the best part of the show, which is actually demoing the functionality that we're going to describe to you. So Raphael, Amy, and myself will take you through some high-level headlines for the update, and then we'll actually show you real product demonstrating what's in the new release from Workday. A big part of the Workday story is us continuing to take advantage of the opportunity to start with a clean sheet of paper. We continue to leverage a new delivery model in terms of SaaS, modern technology, and redesigned applications to continuously deliver new functionality to our customers. And Workday 19 represents our 19th step in that journey over our 8 years as a company. If you take a look at Workday and the update, just some interesting facts about our company. We're crossed north of 400 customers. Workday 19 is another busy update. We typically deliver over 100 features in the update. You can see there's 170 new features in Workday 19. Don't worry, we're not going to go through each one for you. And it's really like to call your attention to the Brainstorm items. The Brainstorm is our collaborative site where we allow Workday customers to create ideas and then vote those ideas either up or down. Workday Product Management monitors the Brainstorm. You can see there's 67 items that come directly from our customers in this update. We're proud of that. And in this update in particular, several of the items are sort of top 10 items that have been in the Brainstorm for quite a while. So it's always nice to knock those off and get those into production for our customers. In terms of the headlines, we'll really focus on 4 areas. I'll be talking to you about continued movement in the area of configurability and extensibility. I'll also talk to you about our ongoing progress on mobile. Always an initiative for us is to drive more mobile content into the Workday updates, and 19 is certainly no exception. Raphael will then talk to you about enhancements in financials, and Amy will wrap it up with what we're doing in human capital management about insight into the workforce. But let's start with cross-application functionality, or the technology. And really here we want to start by talking about configurability and extensibility. This slide is showing you our journey on configurability and extensibility. Since we started Workday, we really have been on a mission to prove that SaaS doesn't have to be one size fits all. We want all of our customers to be on the same version of the software, and we want them current on the latest release. But we want those customers to have the power to change the software to fit their businesses. And these are just examples of the frameworks that we've delivered over time to allow our customers to do just that, but in an update-safe way. For Workday 19, we'll be focusing on the latest steps in this journey around enhancements to custom fields and the delivery of custom labels. So if you look at the extensibility enhancements in Workday 19, we start with broadening the objects that support custom fields. Custom fields is a functionality that we launched in our most recent update, Workday 18. When we initially launched custom fields, they were supported, and customers have the ability to add those to workers, applicants, job profiles, and bank accounts. In Workday 19, we dramatically broaden the objects that you can associate custom fields with to supplier contract, purchase order, customer, supplier, cost center, location, company. A really exciting one is supervisory organization. Given our flexible organization structures, we know our customers will take advantage of customizing the fields that can be associated with supervisory organizations. And then finally, region. We've also added a new field type for the custom fields that you can create, and that is the worker reference type. This is if you're tracking if the custom field's value is actually one or a list of workers. Instead of just replicating their name, you can actually point to the existing object that we have for the worker. And then when you look at the custom field, you get not only the name, but all the information that Workday stores for that worker. So for example, you could use worker reference type to track mentors for an employee if that was a custom field you wanted to add. I've got detailed slides on validations and labels that I'll get to in a second, so I just wanted to hit the final bullet. We've also added a public API, application programming interface, that lets you submit data from your own applications to initialize that data into the custom fields that you add into Workday. So data can get into custom fields either directly through the browser or via this API. Now on the right-hand side of this slide, you can see the advantage that our customers take of the configuration environments that we've already shipped. To date, across our customer population, our customers have created 73,000 custom business processes and almost 200,000 custom reports. So these frameworks that we deliver allow our customers to be very active in terms of introducing customizations and configurations. And the really great thing about the Workday architecture is once our customers create one of these definitions, they don't have to revisit it on any of the updates that we do 3 times a year. We carry that forward for them automatically so they can configure with confidence. Focusing in on custom validations, this is a screenshot of how you definitionally set up a validation rule. We allow you to set up these rules. Custom validations really allow you to do what I call cross-field edits for the value in a custom field. You can compare it to values in other fields you might have in the same transaction. So on this particular definition, what we're trying to do is introduce a rule to make sure that the submit date comes before the return date and to throw an error if it does not. The nice thing is you can set up these validations without programming. Once you define and save this rule definition, you just associate it with a custom field, and then we will interpret this rule into the error processing or warning processing, and add that logic into the custom field as we enter values for it. Custom labels is a feature that has been a very popular brainstorm item, and it's really nice to be delivering it here in Workday 19. Custom labels gives our customers the ability to change the standard delivered labels either globally or for select parts of the product. And as you can see from this screen, we make the change fairly comprehensively. We have a nice approach to making the change one place centrally, and then it ripples out to pretty much everywhere you see the label in Workday. For Workday 19, on a global basis, we're allowing our customers to change the labels for worker, employee, and contingent worker. Within the merit area of our functionality, we're allowing them to change the labels for merit and target. Within the talent area of our functionality, we're allowing them to change the labels for competencies and goals. So this allows our customers, for example, to change worker to teammate if that makes more sense in their particular organization, and that's really the example that we're showing you on this screenshot. So now let's move on to integration. A big part of the Workday advantage is that we're the application vendor that does more to address the issue of integration. And the issue of integration is just a high percentage of the cost of ownership of implementing and maintaining enterprise applications. Workday is trying to take on more and take cost out of having to integrate to all of the other applications that we have to talk to, either on your premises or in the cloud on your behalf. We use this screenshot to show the layers of the Workday Integration Cloud. In Workday 19, I'd like to call your attention to the box that says Integration Cloud Connect. A big part of our efforts are around Integration Cloud Connect, and that Integration Cloud Connect represents packaged integrations that we offer that are either end-to-end integrations or connectors, our side of the integration bridge, to a variety of other products. And we've been particularly active in Workday 19 on beefing up the content of the Integration Cloud Connect area of the Workday Integration Cloud. Within financials, we've added 2 new connectors for payment and for check printing. Now, Workday already offers end-to-end connections for payment to most major U.S. banks, and we use Swift to integrate to most large global banks. But all of our customers, when they implement Workday, need to connect to more localized banks and check print vendors. And so we've taken the package integrations and just packaged up our side of the bridge as an open-ended connector that allows you a starting point to create these custom integrations and reduces your custom coding effort, therefore taking cost out. We've done the same thing in human capital management with a competency model connector. This is an outbound way to an outbound connector for Workday. You can extract competency information from Workday and send it to, for example, a learning management solution. We also have an inbound connector for worker organization assignments. If you've done an acquisition and need to assign a bunch of new workers into the org structures in Workday, you can use the worker organization assignment connector, which is inbound, to suck the workers in and attach them to organizations. And then we have another inbound connector for talent profile updates that may come to us from a learning management system or an applicant tracking system. In addition to the new connectors, we've updated our E-Verify service that's a part of the Workday flexible onboarding capability. That's a built-in part of the workflow around human capital management. The government service of E-Verify has been updated, and so Workday 19 is now compliant with the latest version of that service. We also have end-to-end integration for benefits carriers in North America. So we maintain a catalog of vendor and product entries and are able to convey your HR data through integrations to those carriers on behalf of you, so that you don't have to get involved with understanding the changing APIs for all those characters. We are now up to 274 supported vendor product entries in the benefits carrier network that's a part of the Integration Cloud Connect. For payroll and absence, we've added monthly tax filing integrations to ADP and MasterTax, and we've added a new absence connector that imports absence data from third-party time and attendance systems. So a very active update, continuing to move the ball on package integrations that make it easier for you to tie Workday to all the products that you need us to integrate to. Sort of speaking about time, we also have built an integration to time clock systems. We've created a web service that is able to import data from third-party time clock systems. As you can see from this slide, we're starting with end-to-end integration to AccuTime systems, but the web service is also available to be hooked up to other time clock providers. This takes blocks of time in from the time clock and processes it through Workday's time tracking product, validates it, and then saves it on behalf of the worker. So just another way to get time into the system via an integration API. The next area I want to talk about is mobile, and we've had a very active release in mobile. If you monitor Workday updates, you'll see that we're typically very busy in widening our support for accessing Workday on mobile devices. And the Workday approach is to have the mobile access built in as a part of the product you acquire from us. And Workday 19 is no exception. We've really widened and deepened what we're doing on mobile. We've widened mobile by adding a new platform, Workday for Android, to the existing platforms that we've supported over the past years. We started with a native app, Workday for iPhone, then created Workday for iPad. Last year, we announced Workday for the mobile web, our HTML5 client for touch access that supports non-iOS smartphones. Now we're wrapping up the HTML5 access into an application that can be downloaded through Google Play. So we can use Google Store to download this application onto your Android device, and we can take advantage of the hardware capabilities on that device. At first launch, we've added this list of functionality to Workday for Android. All this functionality has been developed out on the iPhone and on Workday for the mobile web. It now moves to Workday for Android. You can see at the bottom there, taking advantage of the ability to do receipt capture using the camera on the phone for expenses is an example of why having this packaged app for Android helps our customers get this functionality. So now customers with Android devices can view pay slips, capture expenses, check in, check out for time, view and request time off, browse directories, and look at Workday's activity stream, the work feed. We've also deepen the functionality that's available on our other mobile platforms. And one of the big changes is bringing manager self-service to the iPad. So we allow managers to initiate job change transactions directly off their iPad. So transferring employees locations or promoting employees or giving employees new assignments can all happen now on through the iPad mobile device through a guided user experience. We've also brought time entry down to the iPad and to the iPhone. So now you're able to enter time with a calendar UI through our browser experience, but you can enter it through the iPad and the iPhone as well. So that was the iPad. Now you can see that we've shrunk it down so you get a nice touch-based way to enter time off of your calendar for your iPhone. So Workday continues to round out its mobile offerings, and that sort of rounds out what I wanted to talk to you about in terms of cross-application functionality. So now I'd like to hand it over to Raphael to talk to you about what we're doing in financials in Workday 19.
Thank you very much, Stan. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's Raphael Brez. I'm going to go over Workday 19 financials overview, and just to give you a quick summary about this update, because Workday 19 Financial Management is pretty loaded in features. It is about 20 major features and about the same number of minor features that we will have a chance to look at into the demonstration section of this presentation. to summarize some of the enhancements, and then I will highlight taking three examples in the product. First, we are delivering more embedded analytics, not only the framework, but it's also about delivering package business intelligence content to our customers. And we are adding two new dashboards that is completing a list that we had already 6, so it will make a total list of 8 dashboards available, and the two new dashboards are the expenses reports one, and the second one is related to grants for higher education. The second thing we have been focusing on, and we will also focus on the subsequent updates, is performance and control. So we are focusing on the scalability going up on volumes for financial reporting and financial statements, as well as reinforcing all the internal controls by providing more custom fields ability so the customer can define custom rules associated to them. Also, we are improving the user experience and the user interface, and this you should expect more improvement in every single update of Workday financials, and the same probably for human capital management, who will be improving the user experience and the user interface. But we have already some illustrations in Workday 19, and we'll have a look at the composite page for projects. And then we are delivering industry scenarios. Here we are just mentioning the one for higher education and government that are around grants, the FNA rate, the basis limit. So we will not have a chance to get in details. I just wanted to mention them. Again, this is a very loaded update. And I'm going to take 3 illustrations to give you a flavor of Workday 19 financials. The first one is about delivering an enhanced framework for the embedded analytics, and we are actually relying on the work tag technology. So we are enhancing the features around the work tag, the usability, the way you can relate work tags to other work tags. It's like tagging a work tag with other tags. And we are also pushing improving the financial reporting, and we will see how can we expand details and keep aggregate for the summary account. Or we will see also how can we push directly in Excel without all the intermediate steps that we had before. But moreover, using this the framework for our analytics, we are delivering 2 new dashboards, and here you see 2 screenshots. At the bottom, you see the half view of the dashboard on the browser, and then the same half view, but on the iPad. And basically, what we do in the browser is available in the iPad because of our HTML5 technology. And what you see here are reports, or what we call worklets. And we'll have an opportunity to get a little more details about some of the content, but they do provide some spend analysis and especially some trending analysis, as well as getting some operational KPIs about how efficient is your expense report processes in your company. So this goes on how long does it take to approve an expense report and how long does it take to pay an expense report, and these numbers will be given in number of days. We have a second dashboard that Russell will have a chance to show you, which is about grants. I didn't put the screenshot here. Let's move to the next area. So the next area to illustrate Workday 19 financials is how can we deliver enterprise scenarios to our customers. And here, and we have another example on the next slide, but for now, let's focus on what we call the amortization schedule. The amortization schedule is a new object that we introduced in Workday 19, and we have 2 major scenarios that are going to leverage this schedule. The first one is the rights to use assets. This is the ability to basically depreciate or amortize your intangible asset as you are consuming it. This is related to copyrights, intellectual property around digital content, and this is more common into newer economies and services industries. What is particular with this use case is the number of accounting entries, the complexity of the entire business process, because you need coordination between the purchase order, the supplier invoice, the supplier contract, the business assets module, as well as the settlement module for the payment. we deliver in Workday 19 a full end-to-end life cycle of the rights of use of assets with automation of the accounting and a very easy way to turn on this feature so our customers can have a look in the sandbox that we're going to provide to them and decide if they want to enable the scenario into their upgrade. The second scenario that or use case that is using the amortization schedule is the prepaid expense scenario. This is related to subscription or the payment for the rental of a building, when basically you account for a charge in advance of consuming the charge. So you have a portion that will stay in accrued liability, and as you are consuming the charge, we will just move from accrued liability to the income statement. It can involve complex accounting, repetitive, and this is, again, what we want to deliver is a complete end-to-end automation where the users can enable very quickly this kind of features and get all the related visibility, audit trail, traceability, as well as very thorough accounting out of the box. The last illustration with regards to Workday 19 financials is about how did we expand the shared services support in Workday financials. So two additional shared services support. The first one is the customer payments. It's the ability to do settlement on behalf of another company or on behalf of another customer when you have the remit different from the bill to customer. We do provide for these scenarios, especially in shared services when the invoices are sitting in different legal entities. Again, we are providing the full automation for the intercompany. We do manage the scenario with partially recoverability of tax that will be passed and passed to the recipient company. And again, the way you can set up this pretty advanced scenario is one click on one screen, and hopefully Russell will have time to show it to you. The second shared services scenario we are delivering in Workday 19 is the credit card transaction. It's the ability for a company to pay on behalf of their employees their credit card transaction, even if the employees are not in the same legal entity. So the idea is there is one single bank account to settle all the credit card transactions, and they can settle transactions that are actually belonging to other legal entities. And we are providing the full intercompany accounting that will support this business process, as well, again, as the full visibility and audit trail. That was a short overview, and there are way more content in Workday 19 financials, but I think it's time to turn to Amy so we can have a look to human capital management.
Thank you so much, Raphael. Hi, everyone. This is Amy Wilson, and I'm very excited to share with you just a couple of highlights from our HCM update out of the many that Stan mentioned earlier. So with Workday 19, we're continuing to deliver key experiences to business leaders, and in particular to increase the operational relevance of human capital management systems. We had an increased focus on workforce planning in particular, and we've made a big leap by delivering key enhancements in the areas of analytics and execution. The first item here is headcount plans. So now with Workday 19, we provide the ability to bring in and compare headcount plans to actuals within Workday to help leaders answer the question, are we staffing to plan? And to take direct action based on that knowledge. Working from a single source of truth ensures that all interested parties are speaking to the same number, while access to details eliminates the mystery behind the numbers. We've seen this as a common issue for most organizations dealing with multiple spreadsheets. One from HR, perhaps, one from finance, when the business leader keeps themselves, and when the recruiting department uses as the basis for their staffing plans. Everybody has their own spreadsheet. Everyone has their own number. No one knows what's making up the number. Now with Workday 19, you have that single source of truth and the ability to eliminate the mystery behind the number. Organizations can further support their forward-looking planning with predictors based on backward-looking trending. Workday offers trending on worker data with several delivered reports now generally available in Workday 19. In Workday 18, we had announced limited availability of this trending capability, and we worked very closely with design partners over the last 4 months to ensure the scalability and appropriateness of the out-of-the-box reports that we're delivering. So now with Workday 19, customers can analyze their worker data over time in areas such as headcount, attrition, and compensation, just to name a few. And they can use these reports out of the box, or they can change and transform them as needed for deeper organizational analysis. And I just want to mention that this comes with no additional cost. This is part of the Human Capital Management license, but it goes a level deeper in terms of analytics than you would normally be accustomed to. So as I mentioned, this is just a couple of highlights in terms of our HCM update. And now I'd love to turn it over to Russell and Christina so that you can see the product in action.
Thanks, Amy. This is Russell Stoltenberg. I'm going to run through some of the financial features, and then I'm going to pass off to Christina, who will run through HCM and mobile. So starting out, I'd like to share my dashboard, which I thought I'd already done. All right, thank you. So first I'd like to show you the grants management dashboard. This is one of 2 new dashboards, as Raphael mentioned. Overall, we offer 8 delivered and 5 custom dashboards, all that can be renamed, modified, enhanced for your uses. We've also offer in Workday 19 new report data sources for awards, grants, billable transactions around awards, and letters of credit. And that allows you to build worklets like you see here, these mini reports, where you can hover over and see the various legends. And of course, you can drill into this rich dimensional detail that is provided by work tags. So let me show you the second dashboard. And that's expense management. And in this dashboard, we also offer 6 standard reports that we deliver that customers can copy and enhance for their uses. These reports are centered around the spend manager as well as the supervisory org manager. So if you're a spend manager, you might be interested in seeing where you're spending your money by cost center, and you can look through this list and very quickly see that field sales is spending a lot of money. That might not be unusual. You can also look at top expense items, and you can see that lodging and airfare make up over 50% of your spend. And you might want to ensure that your people are using your preferred hotels, so you might want to drill in and take a look at those details. With our provided analytics, a simple click and you can get to that level of detail. Here we see the hotels. We can see whether or not they were our preferred hotels. And we can always print, export to Excel, filter, and chart that information and continue our analysis as we see fit. The next worklet I'd like to point out here is the expense item trend. Very quickly we can see that lodging costs have really accelerated against, perhaps requiring that need for those negotiated rates. So let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk a little bit about work tags and the enhancements in this release. In order to show this, I'm going to create a quick expense report. So I'm going to go into my self-service page and create an expense report. I'm not going to pick up any of my credit card or mobile transactions. I'm just going to create a blank report. So at this point, I've done very little except click a couple of buttons. But what I want to point out is here where I enter my expense items and costs are these work tags. And I already have 3 work tags listed. And that's because of our unified HCM solution. Based on my role and my location, the system knows my cost center, my location, and my region. If I'm going to take a trip out to visit a customer, I might want to enter that customer in here as a work tag as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my customer, Wayne Industries. Well, when I select Wayne, you'll notice that not only did I pick up Wayne as a customer, I also picked up line of business and division and channel, and that's because of inherited work tags. We offer the ability to place work tags on work tags, and we offer it in some new places for this release. So in addition to customers, projects, cost centers, and grants, we now offer it on sales items, revenue categories, and even any custom orgs that you would want to use. So talking a bit more about work tag enhancements, I now have this list called My Favorites. I can go out and select any number of these different work tags as my favorites, and they'll show up here and make it easy for me to select for my transactions. If I look at my work tags, the Workday is actually determining these based on all my org assignments for all my jobs, all my locations for those jobs, all the projects that I'm staffed on, as well as any payroll cost allocations related to those jobs. So you can pick those from this list, and of course all the other work tags are available here, including 15 custom work tags and up to 10 custom orgs that can be implemented by our customers. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the expanded shared services. And Raphael mentioned a little bit about our ability to pay credit card transactions and also apply customer payments. So let's talk a bit about applying customer payments. So we'll pick this up at the point where the front desk has already opened the mail, pulled out the checks, created the deposit, and submitted it. And a lot can also be handled by our automatic payment predictor using a lockbox. But let's use a manual example here just to take a little look at this intercompany arrangement. So let's go in and apply a customer payment. I'm going to go find a deposit that I have out here for Lexcom. And when I select that deposit, it'll return a couple of invoice lines. And the first one has been selected for me because it's one of mine, and of course I can hit this information bubble, quickly see that I'm Global Modern Services USA, my customer's Lexcom, here's some of those work tags we were just looking at, and the cost of that invoice. But I also have a second invoice that's listed here. And you can see over on the far right that we have an intercompany column, and it says, yes, this is an intercompany transaction with one of my related parties. And if I click on that information bubble, I can see that it's with Green Planet Solutions, also Lexcom, of course, and here's an amount. So I may want to go ahead and select that line, and we can see that all the cash has been applied and go ahead and submit this transaction. At this point, it's in the business process. I can see it's been successfully completed. I can look at the details here, and I have the ability to go in and review information related to it, like the accounting. So let's just take a quick look at the accounting. And here I can see the transactions that have occurred on my side, on my company, but I can also see the intercompany transactions. So here's all the intercompany payable and receivable set up by the system automatically. So let's go take a look at the payment application on Green Planet's side, and let's do that by looking at the customer activity detail. I'm just going to do a search on some of the letters here and go select that activity detail. I want to go in as Green Planet, and I'm going to pick my one customer that we were working with, Lexcom. At this point, it returns that yes, I had an invoice with them back in March. It now shows it's been paid, and I also have an approved payment transfer in, and that indicates it's an intercompany transaction. Again, I can pop on this related action, and I can see that that was paid to Global Modern Services on our behalf from Lexcom and has been passed through the process we just looked at. As Raphael mentioned earlier, it's very easy to set up shared services in Workday. It's really a matter of just clicking on one button. So let's go take a quick look at that. We're going to view the company intercompany profile. And let's go ahead and take a look at Global Modern Services setup. Here's that setup that deals with various information, but it's really this first column here that says Initiate Allowed. And here's Green Planet in the last row. And by checking the box, it now says yes, I've set up that shared services arrangement, and there's really nothing else I need to do. So let's move on and talk a little bit about financial statement enhancements. A If you'll recall, in the last few releases, we have a lot of different enhancements that we've applied to financial statements. One of those is the ability to go in and apply filters. Here I'm going to just pick an income statement by division. All the filter values are populated for me. I could do comparatives. I could change the start and finish dates. But I really just want to run a quick summary income statement here. And this just shows that income statement down to net income with my divisions across the top. So the new feature for this release is the ability to take all your existing definitions and run those down to the account detail. You do that by selecting this expand to detail. That's all you need to do. Click the one button and run this report, and we'll now get those nodes blown down to the account set level. And here we can see that. We see our revenue account, our various cost of revenue accounts, salaries and benefits, and more. Again, that'll work with all your existing definitions. It's a matter of just clicking that button. Report grouping was introduced in the last release, and we've made some enhancements for this release, one of which is the ability to place report tags on the reports. So you might run an income statement that you're bursting across all of your companies individually, or maybe we have a month-end report group. Let's just take a quick look at how that was set up. So here we see the runtime prompts. We have some defaulting values here in this column. And here's those report tags. We're going to have a fixed tag called financials on every report in this group. But we're also going to have variable tags based on those runtime prompts. Here's all of the different reports, and if you click in, you can see the details and what type, PDF or Excel. You can see the various prompting at that level, and you can see report tags that are listed there. So the combination of those report tags at all levels will be attached to those reports and make it easy for us to find. The last thing I want to point out is sharing and the enhancements around that. We can share with users, we can share with security groups. Maybe you want to share this income statement or this reporting group with a financial auditor. But you might also want to just share each of those income statements, for example, with the controller for each company individually and not to each of them as a group or to all of them as a group, excuse me. And when you've got the group set up, of course, you can just schedule those to run now, in the future, or some schedule maybe every day of your monthly close. One last thing I'd like to point out before I pass over to Christina is some enhancements around the projects UI for this release. So let's bring up one of my projects, Warren Systems. And here you can very quickly see, if you're familiar with our old view, that it's quite a difference. The old view had a lot of tabs. It had some information that was up here in the related actions. And what we've done for this release is we've basically leveraged the composite view, similar to the worker profile, with these ribbons that allow us to have an overview summary or detail, role assignments, process history. You can go in and see the workers in your resource plan. You can look at the project plan. One other thing to point out is you have the ability to attach custom reports to this ribbon in order to support the projects in custom ways that you would like to see it. So here's a project phase analysis, shows hours consumed on the project over the various phases. And as always, you have financial information and the ability to drill into that information, whether it's time or it's spend, using the rich dimensional details that we offer through work tags. And so at this point, I would like to pass this over to Christina.
Okay, hello, this is Christina Gold, and I'm going to spend the rest of the time showing you kind of some of my favorites in our HCM offering in Workday 19, and I'm going to end the demonstration with mobile. So I'm going to sign in as Logan McNeil. And what I'd like to do here is start with our latest step in our extensibility journey, the custom labels that Stan was talking about earlier. So if I can draw your attention to the upper right-hand side, you're going to see a report here called Workforce Visibility. And as I hover, you'll see the word employee or contingent worker. If I come up to the search and I search for the word employee, notice it's prevalent throughout my system. And let's look at one of the tasks here, hire employee. I just want to point that one out. Well, now what I can do is if I type in custom labels in my search, you'll notice that I have a task called Maintain Custom Labels. And when I click on that, what it does is it gives me the ability to change my labels globally, where I'm talking about employee, contingent, etc., merit, and talent. So let's go global. Let's go big. And you'll notice here I've got a table now where I can translate, if you will. What do we call a contingent worker? Well, if we don't call it a contingent worker, maybe we call it a contractor. And maybe we don't call it an employee, we call it a teammate. And maybe we don't use the word worker, we use colleague. And you'll notice that I can also specify the tense, and I can define if it's plural or possessive, and also I can define case, so if I have upper or lower labels. So what I really like about this is this allows our customers to really use their unique terms, so they're not forced to use employee, contractor, etc. So let's search up here, and let's search on employee once again. And you notice nothing shows up. But I'm not using employee any longer. I'm now using teammate. And notice it shows up here, my task is now hire teammate versus hire employee. And let's come back to that report on my dashboard that I was looking at earlier. Notice when I hover, it now says teammate, it now says contractor. My labels throughout, so this is pervasive throughout the system. So in my tasks, in my labels. So let's drill into this report. Let's see what happens here. Let's look at it by job profile, for example. And maybe I want to take a look at my customer service representatives. When I drill on that number, I want you to focus on the labels. Notice colleague shows up here where it didn't show up before. And now when I take action on a worker, notice it's changed here. Let's go into a task, request compensation change. It now says teammate up here. So really a very nice way to personalize your Workday experience, but very, very important. Please remember this keeps it update safe. So I can change these labels, but there will not be an issue when we go to the next update of Workday. What I'd like to do now is focus on kind of that insight into the workforce and talk a little bit about the headcount plan. So Logan has a slide-out dashboard here, which allows her to define things that she uses all the time, like her favorites. And what I'd like to do is spend a little time looking at the headcount plan structure. Workday allows you to define a number of different structures. You can define them annually, quarterly, however you want. And I just wanted to show you the definition of it. So say I was going to define annual headcount. And I want to link this to my financial business plan. So as Amy mentioned, we make sure that we link the information so you have that one source of truth. I can select my statistic type. Do I want FTE, or do I want headcount, or do I want both? And what I think is important here is the dimension. So what is the level of granularity that you want to use for your headcount plan? Do you want to, and notice it shows colleague type versus employee type up here. Company, cost center, country. So you can select the number of dimensions. Maybe you want to include location. You can attach that to a schedule. In this case, I'm going to attach it to my corporate schedule, which is linked to my financial business plan. And now I can decide, is it monthly, quarterly, annually, etc. But let's take a look at the reports that are the result of this headcount plan structure and template that we might have defined. We have delivered reports, and I'm going to focus on one, this headcount plan to actuals. And this will allow me to see, am I staffing to plan? So how am I doing? So let's look at our quarterly headcount plan. I can include all periods and organizations if I want, and headcount and FTE details. In this case, I'm just going to take what I've got here. And what this will show me is for 4 quarters, so Q1, 2, and 3, how I'm doing. And if I look at Q1, I can see for information technology and operations, looks like I've got some headcount here. And if I look forward to Q2, I have more headcount. So good news is I have headcount. Bad news is I'm not staffing to plan. So I might want to see what's going on here. And if I wanted to just focus on one period, let's say Q2, because I'm looking at my numbers growing here, let's take that. I can then focus on only one period, and of course I have the ability to chart this, and all the drillability and capabilities that you've seen with Workday reporting are available to me, so now I can look at this on a particular dimension. What I'd like to do now is go to the dashboards and focus on our workforce planning dashboard. So this is a dashboard. It's not a new dashboard that we deliver, but I do want to show you that all that information that we saw in the headcount plan, you can certainly use our reporting tool to report off that information. If you can look at the left-hand side, this headcount plan by quarter is a workbook that we created off of that. The other thing that Amy mentioned is trending. So for workforce planning and that insight into your workforce, you really want to be able to see how you're trending in terms of, in this case, hires and terminations by quarter. So as Amy mentioned, we offer 10 delivered trending reports, so we go GA and Workday 19, that are in the categories of headcount, activity, compensation, and auditing. So let's drill into this headcount and hires and terminations by quarter, which shows me if I'm expanding or contracting in my organization. In this case, fortunately, we're hiring way more than we are terminating. And what's nice is it sits on Workday's faceted search, and I can then drill into, maybe I only want to look at my global support center. And so I can look at that, and I certainly can refine that search further. So let's look at the hires that I have here, and let's see what types of jobs we've hired. So let's look at them by job profile. So we can see mostly we've hired customer service reps, and then I have the ability to drill on that and see what are the reasons. Well, We filled vacancies for the most part. For my terminations on the flip, I can see why people are leaving. So really a nice way to see the trends in your organization. What I'm going to do now is switch over to our mobile offerings. And as Stan mentioned, we introduced Workday for Android in Workday 19, and Workday for HTML5 or Workday for the mobile web continues to get more and more robust with this update. I'm going to focus on the iPhone. Reason being is we try to keep consistent across our products. So really, this is going to look the same on Workday for Android or Workday for the mobile web. You will have these touch-optimized tiles that you can then go and what's new for Workday 19, the ability to enter time on your mobile device. So let me go to time tracking. I can check in or out. So in this case, we can see Todd Hardy, who I checked in as, or signed in as, I should say, checked in, and he can come here and say he's going to take a break or have a meal. He's going to have a meal, and it automatically puts him on that. And let's come back to that time tracking tile, and new with 19 is I can enter time. What's nice about this, if I can draw your attention to the upper right-hand side here, you'll see an autofill option. So Todd doesn't have to enter every day. He can come and select a week that might be similar. Say last week is what he wants to enter, and if he taps on the Done button, it will automatically fill in his time, and then he can come in and change any of those should he need to do that at that point in time. Anytime he taps on the middle here, he's going to get his week breakdown, so regular hours, double time, overtime shift, and when he likes what this looks like, all he has to do then is submit his time right from here. So really nice way to enter time on the go, and if he just wants to see what his week last week looks like, all he has to do is tap on that arrow, and he can go forwards and backwards. One other nice thing that we're introducing on the iPhone in Workday 19, and let's come here to Todd's profile, is the ability to change his contact information. So he can look here and say, all right, I don't think that's the right phone number for me, or I'd like to add another phone number. So he now has the ability to tap on change contact info. He's going to change his home info, and it's going to be his phone number, and he's going to add a telephone and say that that's going to be that way I get the numbers right. And that's all he had to do, and once that's done, all he has to do is submit it. So a nice, easy way to change your contact information on the go. I'm going to switch over to my iPad. And let's rotate that. I'd like it better in the landscape mode. And let's sign in here as Todd Hardy as well. So let's And one of the new things in Workday 19, you'll notice a new launch point here for entering time. So when I tap on that launch point, what it's going to do is show me the time that I entered on the iPhone. So I have all that time here. I have the ability to get the detail on any time block and change that. You'll notice the ribbon on the bottom shows me the week breakdown, and I can certainly go from one week to the next by simply tapping on the week that I want to enter the information for or to review. And as I had on the iPhone, on the upper right-hand side, you're going to see that autofill capability, which will allow you to enter the time from a previous week. And notice these warnings. So all the validations that I would have in the browser are available on my mobile device as well. Now I'm going to sign out as Todd Hardy because the last piece I want to show you is a manager self-service function. So I'm going to sign in as Steve Morgan, who happens to be the CEO of our organization. So he is the manager of all the managers. And if you're familiar with what we introduced in Workday 19, we introduced the My Team. So he's going to come look at his team. He might want to look at the stats for his team. One thing I do want to point out, notice the label here. It says teammate. So all throughout, the label of employee was changed to the one that we put in the custom label. But what Steve wants to do here is all of his executive team works in San Francisco, and what he'd like, except for Jake here. And what he'd like is for Jake to be with the rest of the team, so Jake's going to relocate, so he's going to change Jake's job. So new in Workday 19, we can change that job. So really moving from just consumption of information to more actionable items. So why is Steve making the change? So he's going to change the location. It allows him just to step through. And now he can say, what date? And notice it brings up the date, and he can come in here and specify, is this the date I want or not? And since he's only changing location, all he needs to do is tap on that. It brings that up. He has the ability to come in here, of course, the ability to search. So we're going to search on San Francisco. He finds that, and He's all well and done. All is good. Clicks on that Submit button. And what you'll see here is our business process framework taking effect. So it's going to the next person who needs to approve it, who is Logan McNeil, who happens to be the HR partner. The very last thing I'd like to show you here is if I come back home, is if we come to our reporting dashboards. Russell showed you the expense management dashboard, which is new in Workday 19. And let's take a look at it on a mobile device. So what we'll be able to see is all the worklets and analytics, the delivered worklets and analytics that Russell showed you on our mobile device. So I have them on the go. I have the ability to look at my expense item trend. I can look at expense reports out of policy and top expense items, all of the expense worklets that Russell showed you earlier. So with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Stan to address any questions we might have.
Great, Christina, thanks, and thanks, Russell. We do have a few questions, and just start into them. One of the first questions was, are there going to be slides available, or is a recording of the session available? And we do plan to make a recording of this session available to you afterwards. So all registrants and attendees will receive an email with a link to a recording of this webinar, and that will get you a full view of both the slides and the demo that we showed. The next question we got was on integration with ADP. I mentioned that we are doing monthly tax filings to ADP, and it says integration with ADP, is that globally? And I'm actually not certain on that. I'm going to have to check up with that. I believe monthly tax filings is for the United States, yes, and not globally. We do have package integration to ADP payroll, both within the U.S., and we have a payroll connector that facilitates integration to more local payrolls outside of North America, but I would believe the monthly tax filings is just for the U.S., but I will confirm that. Yes. Raphael is telling me yes. The next question is, will the mobile time entry be extended to Android and other systems in the future roadmap? And the answer to that is yes. Our practice on these platforms is to have eventually achieve parity of features, but we're improving the platforms sort of along their own lines, and sometimes new features show up on the iPhone, sometimes new features show up on the HTML5 platform. So right now the time entry has been introduced on iPhone and on iPad, and we will plan to move that to the other platforms as we move forward, so that we can share those along. The next question is, so an employee can clock in or clock out on a mobile device, and the answer to that is yes. That's what we were demonstrating. Maybe to set a little context for this, Workday introduced Workday time tracking last year. It's been a very popular application to track hourly time typically for white-collar employees entering time. The first way of getting time into the system was through our browser experience, calendar-based entry of time. The second thing we did was to do what I would sort of call a virtual time clock, which is just check in and check out on a mobile device. And so on our mobile devices, when we're doing check in or check out, and this is a feature that was introduced on Workday for the mobile web first and is now moved to Workday for iPhone and Workday for it has now moved to Workday for the iPhone. This feature allows you to check in either to a location or to a project. So you specify a location, maybe an office that you're in, or you can specify a project that's in the project system, and then you just push the start button to start logging time and the stop button to stop logging time against that project. We followed that on with more sophisticated integration to more sophisticated time clocks that we just announced in this update, and now you can see we also have the calendar-based way of entering time. So a variety of ways to get time into Workday. On the top, it shows 2 warnings. What is that about? We didn't really go into that detail, but Christina did a relatively sophisticated function where she took time blocks that had been submitted last week and in a single batch entered them for this week. And in doing that, it did generate some warnings, and it's probably where there was an overage. It was overtime warning. Russell is highlighting to me. This is just a way of showing that when you massively enter these time blocks, the system is still going to validate them and process any warnings that you have to be aware of as you're entering time from last week for the new week. Can custom validation be attached to standard fields? That's a great question. We've had custom validation rules within the business process framework, and so that is a way to process additional validations on some of the task processing we have. We've extended it to the custom fields. Not all standard fields in the system can have custom validations attached to them. So Custom validations can include a reference to standard fields, but it's primarily that you're attaching them to the custom fields that you're putting into Workday. Next question, do you provide T4A processing for Canadian payroll? I do not know the answer to that. Workday does provide Workday payroll is available in the U.S. and in Canada. We also are partnered for payrolls, and I will have to take that one away and check on what we're doing with T4A processing. The next question, typically what is the impact of Release 19 upgrade on existing customers in terms of upgrade from past release to 19? It's an excellent question with a long answer. We really seek to make the updates that we do 3 times a year not huge change management events for our customers, but we do need customer involvement to inspect the new functionality coming in the update. The overall update process is an end-to-end 6-week process. We start the process by fully converting all the customer's data and all of your configurations and customizations. We make that available to you in what we call the sandbox environment. So the very first thing you see is Workday 19 standing alongside your production data in Workday 18. So you do not have to invest any time to mechanically convert any of the configurations or any of your data. That is all done by Workday. But you will want to take the time to inspect how the new functionality looks and how your data is looking. And most customers do invest a period of time. I would categorize it as man weeks for the typical customer, although there is a wide range. It is not a project to do any development. It's more a project to inspect the changes and verify in particular that the data feeds out to your integrations are still consistent with what your other systems are expecting. I think that's the majority of the work that we inspect. We have 170 features. The majority of those features is delivered secured off, and so that means that you don't have to rally your project team to make sure all of these features are deployable on day one. You can decide how aggressively you want to turn on these features as you move forward with Workday. So a relatively limited time investment is what we expect from customers in inspecting the new functionality. Are there any costs for customers to upgrade from Release 18 to 19? Other than the time investment, no. It's included as a part of your Workday service. Is time recorded in mobile device integrated with payroll system for paying overtime, double time, etc.? The whole purpose of time tracking is really to integrate and send time to payroll. So the answer to that is an emphatic yes. So with that, I hope that I think we're at the end of time. I appreciate the sort of attention to our session, and hope the information that we presented was valuable to you. And we appreciate your questions and your interest in Workday. Thank you very much.